Hey guys, this is Gary here from Lost in the Ozarks, and this is our 5th day at Richland Creek Campground. I want to take you on some of the adventures we've gone on. We've gone on some hikes, we've done some water crossings, we've been to some waterfalls, and so I'm going to take you through those, and let's get started and look at our adventure down here in Richland Creek Campground in the Richland Creek Wilderness near Whit Springs, Arkansas.
My friends Dave and Deanne and I arrived at Richland Creek Campground on a chilly Friday morning, the day before opening day of gun deer season, and we got camp set up. We started a fire, and then we got down to deciding where we were going to go hiking the next day and kind of planning out our hikes for the next few days. Before we get to the hikes, let's look at some of the sights around the Richland Creek Campground. After we got a good night's sleep, we woke up to a chilly morning, so we had a breakfast of pancakes, and then we headed out on our first hike of the trip to see if we could find Punch Bowl Falls. Since we hadn't been here before, we entered the coordinates for Punch Bowl Falls into our GPS units and headed out. We joined the Ozark Highlands Trail about a quarter mile before the 151 mile marker. This scenic trail took us around the mountain and then down into the valley. The views of the valley and bluffs were nothing short of spectacular, with the fall colors on full display. Now we hiked for about 3.5 miles, and according to my GPS, we were about 120 feet from the coordinates, but we weren't sure about climbing down into the creek bed. We ended up deciding to turn back at this point after a quick break for water and eating some trail mix. It was a little disappointing not to find the falls, but the views on the way made up for it. On the second day, we decided to do some shorter hikes to waterfalls. We chose 3 in close proximity to each other. The first one we visited was Six Finger Falls. Six Finger Falls is named because the water has eroded the underlying bedrock into 6 channels, which resemble fingers when the water is really flowing. On our visit, the water was low and the falls didn't have a high flow. Six Finger Falls has about a 6-foot drop. The good side of the low water, it was easy to cross the creek and see an amazing waterfall in the rear of a small box canyon. Box Canyon Falls is also known by the name of Fuzzy Butt Falls. This waterfall is 16 feet tall. It's hard to describe the view from inside the canyon, but I shot a 360 photo from inside the canyon that you can see on our Facebook page. Just search for Lost in the Ozarks and be sure to join our group to see more great content from the Ozarks. Now we'll go to the last waterfall of the day. Just a short drive down Falling Waters Road is another pull-off. On the opposite side of the road is a faint trail that leads to the tallest waterfall we saw that day. Terry Kepi Falls is 78 feet tall. It's also another waterfall that's in a box canyon. It's about a half mile from the road and the trail is fairly easy. It was just a trickle the day we visited, but I'll be back again to see this one when the water is flowing well. The following day, we decided to hike to Richland Falls, with the intent of also seeing Twin Falls on the same hike. We made a water crossing of the creek and hit the trail. The trail wasn't easy to see, but luckily a couple was coming back down as we were looking for it. The trail splits here, and you can take the right fork to Twin Falls or left to Richland Falls. Once we got up the rocks, the trail was easy to follow. I would rate this a moderate hike due to the terrain and distance of a little over 2 miles each way. We got all the way to a bend in the creek where we could just see the falls, but we couldn't go any further once we hit a recent rock slide that took the trail out. This left us to backtrack and see if there were any shallow crossing spots. We couldn't find any and we weren't prepared for a deep crossing that day, but the scenery made up for the disappointment of not reaching the falls. So that was our adventure hiking and camping in the Richland Creek wilderness. I'm going to leave you now with some aerial shots I took around the area.